The first book that I read this year, for me, there's 2 qualifications to make a book 5-star. I remember reading these back in middle school. I had thought it was going to end one way, and it did not end that way at all. They're like sucked into a fairy tale world, and it's about like their adventures there. But then again, I've read it before, so maybe that was just me subconsciously remembering the plot. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name's Bria and I love books. And today we're going to be doing something fun. I'm going to be going over all of the books that I read in January. I've read 10 books this month, which is actually more than I was supposed to, because I set my reading goal to 100 books again this year. I did not make that goal last year. I think I read 78. But this year I am determined to read 100 books, and I am so far on track. I think I'm supposed to be at like 8 or 9 books by the end of January, and I hit 10. So feeling pretty good about that so far. The first book that I read this year was The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. This book I actually read in either middle school or high school. I don't remember which, but it was for an assignment for a literature class. And then I read it again a few years ago and then again this year. This is Corrie ten Boom's memoir of her life during World War II and her family's involvement in helping hiding Jews during the Holocaust. So it's a really deep book and hard to read, but Corrie really shines light onto how there was still light in the midst of the darkness and the Holocaust. It's a really sad book to read, but it's really, really good. I gave it 5 stars. It's definitely a hard read, but I definitely recommend it, especially if you are interested in World War II. I think it's a really cool perspective, especially because her family is Dutch Christians. It just gives a little bit of a different perspective than you normally get. So yeah, highly recommend this book. 5 stars. Also, while you're here, I figured I'd explain how I give out 5 stars because it's a little different than what I've seen other people do. But for me, there's 2 qualifications to make a book 5-star. One is it has to do its genre well, and then 2 is it like evoked emotion for me. So for example, in The Hiding Place, it's a memoir and like autobiography. Corrie ten Boom did a really good job of just eloquently telling her story. So she did the genre really well. And then evoking emotion was like, this book is really sad and it made me want to cry over some of the stuff that happened in here. So that's why I gave this a 5-star versus like, for example, romance books means doing the genre well is having like a good emotional connection to people, like actually like emotionally bonding and having like a good character arc. And then the emotion would be like rooting for the couple and like kicking your feet and squealing at the book. So it's different for every genre. So that's why I rate a lot of books 5 stars, I feel like, more than other people, just because I don't know, it's hard to rate different genres against each other, but that's how I do it. And then there's some books that I want to give like 6 stars, and then that's just a book that I really love. And a 4-star is just like an average book. Like I enjoyed it, but there was like maybe a few plot holes or like some, I don't know, something I didn't like in the story. So most books I read are 4 and 5 stars. But yeah, so that's how I rate books. Anyways, onto the second book that I read. It's actually a trilogy, so it's the second, third, and fourth books that I read this year, and that is the Accelerati trilogy. So this is Tesla's Attic, Edison's Alley, and Hawkins Hallway. And these are by Neil Shusterman and Eric Elfman. They're definitely more of like a middle school read. I remember reading these back in middle school, and so I thought it'd be fun to read them again. But it's basically about this middle schooler who finds Tesla's inventions, like long lost inventions, in his attic. And so it's like a sci-fi series of him and his friends trying to build this machine that Tesla left behind. And it's super interesting. I gave the first 2 a 4-star just because they're, I don't know, they're just kind of like middle school books. Nothing super interesting. I felt like it was really predictable. But then when I got to Hawkins Hallway, which is the last one, I feel like the plot really picked up and a lot of stuff happened that I was not anticipating at all, and it's got really, really good. So I actually gave this one a 5-star. So yeah, if you want like a quick, simple like sci-fi read, then definitely recommend it. I think it's fun. Definitely stick it out to the third book though. The third book, there's some stuff that happens that's like pretty good. The first 2, they're okay, but still recommend. The next book I read in January was The Room on Rue Amélie. I think that's how you say it. This book is another World War II novel, but this one is historical fiction, so it's not a real story. It's about this young lady named Ruby, and she's American, and she marries a Frenchman, so she moves to Paris. She lives in Paris during the Nazi occupation, and it's her story about helping her neighbors who are Jews, and also British pilots, and her involvement in the war. It's also a bit of a romance. That was really cute. Definitely more of a subplot, but it was super cute. This book, the ending made me cry. I had thought it was going to end one way, and it did not end that way at all. And it made me so sad. But yeah, it was really good. I gave this one 5 stars. It's definitely really good. So if you like World War II or historical fictions, definitely recommend this one. Now we're getting into books that I read in my last video. So the first one was Beach Read by Emily Henry. This one is my first Emily Henry book ever. I was really excited looking forward to it because I had never read an Emily Henry book and I've heard so many great things about them. But I don't know, this one just kind of threw me off because, like, look at the cover. Like, you would expect this to happen, like, in California on a beach, right? Wrong. It's actually, like, in the Midwest on, like, a lake in the summer. So that threw me off, for one. And then two, it is a romance book, and it's spicier than I thought it was going to be. I always try to look up books and only read books that are not spicy. And so I went into this one for some reason thinking it wasn't. And it wasn't bad. A good analogy is like it's like a PG-13 movie where it's like most of the movie is fine and then there's like that one spice scene in the middle. But for that reason I didn't like it because I try to avoid spice. But the two main characters were really cute. I really did like their love story and like their character building all throughout it. So I did end up giving it, I want to say 3.5 or 4 star. So not bad, but not my favorite either. I don't know, maybe I just have to read a different Emily Henry book and maybe another one will rate higher for me. But I mean, still a pretty good read. 4 stars, not bad. Next up is A Thousand Heartbeats. I love this book so much. If you watched my last video, literally every other word was I love this book so much. I don't know how else to tell you that this book is incredible. I mean, look how many tabs there are. Like, you probably can't even see all. Like, there's so many. But this book is so good. It's by Kira Cass, who is probably my top author of all time. This is the newest book she came out with. I want to say it's like 2 or 3 years old. So that better mean she's coming out with a new book soon. It's a story about Princess Annika and her kingdom, and there's like a rebel faction and they're trying to take over, and it's her journey of trying to uncover like lost history and also maybe falling in love in the process. So it's an enemies to lovers, which is so good. It's a classic for a reason. Also, it's a clean romance, which is super important and it's so good. And it's like over 500 pages. So like it honestly could have been like a duology, but highly, highly, highly recommend this book. Probably my favorite of the year so far. Next is Taylor Swift, The Stories Behind the Songs. This one is less of like an actual book and it's more just like a coffee table book. It goes through like every single Taylor Swift song and has like a little blurb about it and like little like quotes from Taylor and a whole bunch of stuff. There was quite a bit that I learned from it. So yeah, this is just like a little fun coffee table book. Especially if you love Taylor Swift, you'll love this book. Yeah, so I give it a 4 star just because it's, I don't know, nothing too special about it. But definitely, if you like Taylor Swift and diving into like song lyrics and stuff like that, then you'd like this book. And then finally, my last 2 books of the year, of the month. Oh my goodness. Last 2 books of January. I'm starting the Land of Stories series, and I've read the first 2, which is The Wishing Spell and The Enchantress's Return. I read these back in middle school, so when I saw them at a thrift store, I picked them up and it's like, I have to reread these. And like, these are big books. I know the second one's like 500 pages. But it's definitely like more of a middle school read. It's about these 2 twins they're like sucked into a fairy tale world, and it's about like their adventures there. And like I said, it's definitely like a lower level read. At least for me, it was like kind of predictable. But then again, I've read it before, so maybe that was just me subconsciously remembering the plot. But it's just like a fun, quick, easy read. Like if you just want to like sit down and enjoy a book. So far, I really like it. There's 4 more books after this, so I think I'll probably get through this in February. I don't know, maybe later on in the series it'll get better, like the Already trilogy did. But yeah, so I gave these both 4 stars. They're pretty solid, just fun books to read. And that's it for January. Honestly, I'm so glad I'm back into reading. I feel like especially towards the end of the year last year, I was kind of getting into a little bit of a reading slump. And even in the middle of January too, I feel like I was a few days where it was like, I don't want to read anything. But then I just happened to pick up the right books and I read 10 books, which is crazy. So I'm now ahead of schedule for the rest of the year, which will be nice because there definitely be weeks where I will be in a reading slump. So it's good to be a little bit ahead. But yeah, those are my favorites from January. I feel like that was a really good month. Out of the 10 books, 4 of them were 5-star reads, which I feel like is pretty good. And then the rest of them were all 4 stars. So no like disappointing reads this month, which was really nice. I'm excited to move into February and keep reading Land of Stories, and I'm not sure what else. So maybe comment what you think I should add to my TBR for February. I'd love to read some of your guys' suggestions. Also comment your favorite book of January. Maybe I'll get some recommendations from that too. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.